I will call this regular meeting of the Bethel Public Utilities Commission to order for Monday, February 1st, 2021. Happy Groundhog Month. All right, so I'll please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic
which
which stands
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
liberty,
liberty,
and justice for all.
all.
All right, thank you.
We're not going to win any awards for that, are we?
Well, no, it's a good, I always say it's a good thing we're not a choir and we have to sing together. We'd be in trouble. Okay, so first order of business is public input. I don't think we have anybody on, do we, Kathy? All right, so any correspondence? No. Okay, so we'll go to the minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes from January 4th, 2021.
I'll make the motion, we accept them.
All right, motion by Paul, second by Dino. Any corrections? Any comments? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. Financial report. Bob, are you on there? Yep, there you are. You're down in the lower right-hand corner. You're muted though. Bob, you're muted.
There we go. Yeah, I was on. I just didn't click to join with video. All right. I didn't bring the files home, but I printed out what I sent to Kathy on Friday. And so looking at the first page of the report on water, the revenue was $3,865,146 and 30. The big item in there is another grant that came in, or the loan that came in on the Clean Water Fund. So we're up to $2,193,273 at this point. The water billing is $1,651,000, and then there's permits and penalties, so it adds up to $3,865,000. When you look at the expenses, we had $2,119,500. So that leaves a surplus at this point of $1,745,646. And looking at the expenses, that water main maintenance, nothing else has happened the last month. It's exactly the same as last month at $87,000, but it's in a deficit position because we budgeted $65,000 for it. But the bulk of that is from Greenwood Avenue. And then the contracted services, we're at $1,154,000 of the $3,051,000, and that detail is on page 6, and that's with American Pavement, $8,360, Cannondale $5,000, and the big one is, or big two ones, is D&N Tanks at $700,000 and Earth Movers at $338,000, and then there's a couple of smaller ones. That's the bulk of the $1,154,000. And then moving on to the sewer, there was revenue of $1,964,000, and nothing unusual there. We had the sewer assessments, and I know Richie last month had asked about how many years were left. That loan should go to 2033. In phase 1, there's 12 years left. We started paying before we started billing on the sewer bond. Phase 2 has until 2035. There's 15 years left. Phase 3 has 16 years, 2036, and 3.2 has 20 years left. So we're going to be collecting for a number of years after the loan has been paid off. But we started paying ahead of time too. So that falls in line with that. So the revenue on the sewer is $1,964,000. Plant maintenance is the big item in the expenses of $1,724,000, and that's on page 13, I think. Yep, 13. And the big items in there are Blake. It's $87,000. Blake is $27,000. Cannondale is $14,700. Kovacs is $28,800, and Pembroke is $8,700. Those are the big items in the $87,000. I just wanted to point one other thing out on page 12. You see in utilities, there's a posting for $328,000 in year-to-date actuals. That's a misposting. 292 of that, 292,810. is being reclassified to the general fund. It's a water bill that was paid. That was the new purchasing agent she thought it went to this department and it goes to the general fund, part of the utilities and the town budget. So the net amount there should only be 35,504 and 41 cents. Outside of that, everything looks pretty good.
Okay, great. Any questions?
Nope.
All right, well, just make it formal, entertain a motion to accept the financial report.
I'll make the
By Paul,
motion.
And I'll second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that carries. Okay, moving on to invoices. Kathy, I think you sent a fresh invoice sheet, right? So the one that said that where there's 9 items for a total of 171,875.73, that's the correct one, right? Okay, so I'll make a motion that we approve invoices dated February 1, 2021, 9 items in the amount of $171,875.73. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, second by Rich. Okay, any questions for the crew? Give you a minute to look over those. You probably have already taken a look at them though.
Yep. Good.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor to approve the invoices as noted. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to, nothing on new business tonight. So director's report, turn it over to you, Tom.
Okay, the first item I wanted to talk about, kind of an unusual situation. We had a customer leak at 26 Cherry Lane. As it turns out, the service feeds both 26 and 28 Cherry Lane. It was installed in the 1970s. But at the time, they at least put a deed restriction so that it spelled out that both properties would be responsible for the maintenance on the common portion, and each property owner would be responsible for their portion. As it turns out, after we started conversing with the property owner at 26, where we thought it was their leak, it turns out the leak is on the common portion of the service. At this point, we've sent out communications to both property owners. I think both understand that it's a shared responsibility, although push hasn't come to shove yet as far as getting a contractor and getting it fixed. But my understanding is they both understand that, and we'll follow up with them on getting that leak repaired. Hopefully, in the next, say, week to 10 days should be more than enough time for them to line a contractor up and get it fixed. I did get a correspondence from 26 who inquired about installing her own service that would serve only her property. When I started conversing with her, when I thought the leak was only hers, I indicated that would be a way to not have to repair the old one. You would just abandon it and put in a new service. So I think she now would still like to follow up with that. But my question is, before I respond to her, Marty, this is going to be more, I think, a question to get some direction from you. The fact that that pipe is a common responsibility, I don't think she can now just install a service for her own property and abandon any responsibility on that common pipe.
Yeah, I think you're right. What happened is the owner at 28 would have to agree to assume it, and that'd have to be in writing too and recorded.
Right.
So it's going to be a problem unless they both get their own, but even that could be a problem because I'm trying to remember the map. I'm not sure who owned the access way.
Where
You recall?
the actual driveway is,
Yes.
you're right. I'm not exactly sure, but they
Yeah.
both have rights to the driveway because it's a
Yeah,
common
but
driveway.
the problem is there's only one water line coming down the driveway.
Correct.
Now, if 26 Cherry Lane doesn't own the actual access way and they want to put a line in, they got to get permission from 28 because it's not their property. They're expanding it.
Well, the only thing is, I think they each have a 25-foot strip that gets them down to the right of way. So if they have a 25-foot strip, but it's not on the driveway, conceivably, then they can still install their service in that 25-foot strip that they own.
Well, I haven't seen anything that showed me where the water lines were exactly. I don't know if you've got something like that.
No, I don't have it mapped, Marty. We just have where we went out and located it. But I think that's what I'm getting at is I think we're going to end up having more conversation with them. And the way 26's attitude is, I think she's inclined that she just wants to now maybe put her own service in and leave the other one behind. And I don't think she can do that.
Oh, you're muted again, Marty.
What?
Marty, you're muted. Marty,
You're muted.
you're muted. He apparently has a lot to say too.
Marty, can't hear you, Marty.
Marty,
There's something, okay, there. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know, something went crazy with my screen. Something popped up that I don't know what the hell it was.
You got to start from the beginning there, Marty.
Yeah, no, I wasn't talking as I was going. I was listening to everybody saying, Marty, you're muted, Marty, you're muted. All right, so, all right, we'll have to look at it closer, but, you know, what I'm getting at is you've got, if they're both on, if the line is on only one person's property, then the problem that you have is if someone wants to separate them, it better be their property that they put the line on, otherwise they're gonna have a problem. Because now you're expanding the easement use, and you can't do that. Most everybody agrees. Pardon
And
me?
I think on the flip side of that, if one property does not want to get their own service, they probably have the right to leave it as is. Is that correct?
Yeah, they would probably have to get an agreement from the other side to agree to that, you know, that they would change it.
All right.
So,
What I think I might do, Marty, is draft up a response to 26. Would you mind if I sent that to you first so that I don't,
nope,
step on ourselves here?
it's not a problem. You can send it
Okay.
to me.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Well, that was Cherry Lane. The only other item I have besides my normal items is we spoke briefly with our water rate consultant last week. And unfortunately, he had been in the hospital and is now slowly recovering. I think he's doing better, he says, but he had a brief conversation with us. I think we're going to be in pretty good shape as far as, looking at what our next set of rate increases are going to be. They're going to be in line with our past ones. But we will work further towards that and put something together for later on this spring for something for the commission's consideration.
yeah, there were a couple of things that Tom and I wanted him to look at, make sure we were covering all the bases. So that's why we didn't have it on the agenda tonight. Still some research to do. But generally, whatever increase we might need, for the next few years, it's far less than the national average. So we've done a good job of taking advantage of every financial opportunity to improve our infrastructure the most cost efficient way possible. So I also did. It's now a couple of years old. I also the tie and bond numbers come out on New England water rates. We're still well below the average for New England, well below the median for New England, well below the average and median for the state of Connecticut. We're still in the lower third of all water companies, both public and private, in the state of Connecticut. So we've had to raise rates to pay for all this stuff, but we're still providing an outstanding value for our residents, for our customers. So we'll have more. When David updates that thing, we'll come back to you with the full presentation. So any questions? Any other questions for Tom?
Yeah, is the water tank in use, Tom?
Yes, it is, Rich. About 2.5, almost 3 weeks. That was going to be part of my capital project report. So I'll give it to you there.
All right. Okay. All right.
And that's all I had for director's report.
Yeah, we have to have a celebration in the spring.
No, I think it's looking. The site looks pretty good.
I drove by there the other day just to see what it looked like from Briarcliff. And you can see it through the trees, but it's very obvious that when the trees leaf out in the spring, you won't be able to see anything from Briarcliff, not even from the house that's next door. It'll be completely obscured.
Yeah. You do have a view of it when you come up Long Meadow also. But again, I think when the leaves come out, also don't forget, we have some evergreen trees that are going to be installed in the spring,
Yeah.
which in years 1, 2, 3, they're not going to do as well as they're going to do for future years, but I think we'll have it pretty well screened.
Yep.
And I've
Yeah.
gotten no complaints at this point, so.
Another question for Tom. Did we get the pressure tank installed up there on the hill?
No, Rich, we didn't.
Okay.
I had, the quote I got was astronomical. So then I started looking around locally at a couple of plumbing supply houses for a different tank at a better price. And by the time I got through, we gave him our credit report, we got accepted, the real cold snap started coming. And I didn't want to install it in the middle of a real big cold snap like that.
Yeah.
What we wanted
All
to
right.
do initially was install it above ground and just try it out first.
Okay.
All right. Anything else for Tom? Hearing none, we'll move on to old business. Tom, you're up again. It's the Chestnut Ridge Amendment. Amendment
Yes.
number 1.
Okay, we had some discussion on Wright Pierce's proposed amendment number 1 to the construction administration contract. What we did at the last meeting was approved their sub-consultant costs and tabled waiting for further information. So I had Wright Pierce go back and give me more of a breakdown on the costs that they incurred since the proposed date of October 2nd. So that was part of the handout. There's a cover letter in there, and they did a spreadsheet with all their time by week. So basically, they've revised some of their numbers. I think they reduced some of the numbers that they were anticipating, expending between the end of December and January 18th. And they also modified their estimate on what they think it might take to get us to the end of the year. So bottom line, I think they had a 34,000 plus amendment number 1 last time. And what they've got it to at this point, minus the 10,193 for their subconsultant, they've got it at 21,433. So if you look at that in a couple of parts, it's there was a table on the 3rd page of their letter, the 130 hours that they expended. They originally had anticipated 156 hours. So that 130 equated to 13,323 that they've spent already to date. And the next 3 items were their estimated costs, which totaled 6,500, which I believe working a little more closely with them from here to May, I'll be able to get that a little bit reduced. I don't think I'll need them to spend quite as many hours as they estimate. And then the last item was an additional compaction testing done by the consultant for another 1,600. So at this point, what they've submitted with money spent to date plus what they anticipate to the end of the year is 21,433.
All right, and that, are there any other expenses related to the tank that have yet to come in?
Well, we're still paying the contractor. For Wright Pierce, no, this should spell out everything. For the actual construction, we just approved the December invoice from DN Tanks. I just got the January invoice, which I'll look at and process. That's about another 50 some odd thousand. And then really what's left to go with the job is the landscaping.
Yeah. In the
Are we
spring.
still within contingency?
I couldn't quite catch what you said, Rich.
You broke up a little bit.
Are we still within the contingency?
Oh, yes, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
What I can tell you is we had a total of contingency of 96,000. The extra from Wright Pierce plus the 5 change orders that we had for construction is a total of 68,000 out of that 96. Well, one other item that I haven't accounted for yet on the plus side, which is going to be in our favor, about 29,000. For the electrical installation off Long Meadow, which included some work by Eversource to put in a new pole, a new transformer, and new wires. There was an estimate in the contract for a $30,000 allowance to cover that, and that price came in just under 1,000. So the contract is going to have a 29,000 that's basically not going to get paid for. So that's going to be back in our pocket.
Wait a minute. Did I hear that right? An Eversource bill came in less than what we,
Yeah, that's, you did hear correctly. I think when Wright Pierce put it together, they assumed the worst, that those costs get passed on to the customer. But basically, I think since Eversource owns the pole, they own the transformer, they own the wires to it, that was basically their cost. So I'm a little surprised as well, but it's going to be 29,000 that we're not going to have to pay. That was part of the contract.
I think they might be trying to polish their image up a little bit too, while this PIRA investigation's going.
Could be,
Yeah.
that could be.
Yeah, they expect you to withdraw Town of Bethel's suit against them.
Yeah, right. All right, well, I'll put a motion on the floor that we accept amendment number 1 in the amount not to exceed $21,433. Is there a second? A second by Paul? Third by Rich? Any other questions for Tom?
Thank you.
One question. Do we have fencing up there? I haven't been up there.
Yes, I was going to get to that in my update as well, but yeah,
Okay.
the fencing is in.
All right.
Okay. Okay, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. And so, yeah, we're to PUC capital report. So Tom, it's the Tom Villa show today.
I got it. I guess I'll jump in first with our Chestnut tank. How does that sound? All right, where we stand. We got the sign off from DPH to be able to put the tank into service. We put the tank in service, I think it was the 12th of January. So we've been in service now nearly 3 weeks. No problems at all. The controls are working as designed and as we've tested them. So that's all good. As far as the construction work, the site grading is completed. He's topsoiled and seeded and hayed, the earth. All the fencing is in. So work that remains is going to be the landscaping in the spring, any punch list items that we come up with. And I'm sure he'll have a little bit of like topsoil and seeding to complete, based on whatever kind of erodes between now and the grass holds. But so far so good. The tank's in service and no problems.
Great.
How long did it take you to fill it?
I think we filled it in about a day and a half, and we were pumping 24/7 for that time frame.
And the rest of the system was okay?
Correct. We monitored to make sure we weren't starving the system by putting all the water into the tank. So the guys banded together. They did a nice job. They worked together, and we monitored, and we got it filled in probably like the second day. It filled up that morning.
Wow, great. So this is kind of a big deal. I mean, we've been working toward this for 8 years.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Right.
So we are 100% well water now, correct?
That is correct. And we now have 1.25 million gallons worth of storage. Plus, because we still have Hoyt's Hill, I didn't add into that.
Yeah.
But between our Eureka tank for 750 and this tank for 500, we got 1.25.
Yeah. Wow, that's great.
Not bad.
Pretty good. Congratulations to all you guys and to Tom and all the people that came before him. This has been a long time coming.
We're in the 21st century, finally.
That's no, we're not going to be completely there till we get the SCADA system up.
Yeah, true.
Well, we need SCADA, and we're going to need the Bergstrom well online as well. Then I think we're going to be good for years. Then all the work that's happened since probably 2014 now is all going to come together.
Yeah.
There's no news about Bergstrom at this point, is there?
Yeah, I have Bergstrom next. We submitted, if you recall, the engineering report that we got was the preliminary engineering report and pilot study. DPH has already accepted the report. I just got that last week, authorizing us to go ahead and proceed with our design for plans and specifications. So I think we're on a pretty good track with that also. The next step now that they've accepted that is I've got to get from Wright Pierce now their amended contract for the design, put the plans and the specs together. If you recall, we already, when we went through the qualification-based selection, we went ahead and got them approved to do the, the reporting, the preliminary report. So now the next step is proceed with design. So once I hear back from them and get something in writing, I'll have that submitted for us to review and then forward on to DPH. And then that'll basically be the starting gun for them to get going on design.
Okay.
Next up is the 2019 water mains. If you recall, at the last meeting, we were going to start with our extension down Highview Terrace. They basically now have gotten that completed. The one last piece that this storm kind of just interrupted was getting the final tie-in, but the new main is in all the way down to Lindbergh. They did the cross connections and tied in Bonnet Drive and Bonnet Drive Extension. They transferred all the services. So he's got one more day's worth of a tie-in, and then come spring, any final paving, curbing, punch list items. So I don't have the final number, but it looks like with that extension that we did, that amendment number 1, we're going to come in at about the contract amount of $882,660. So I think I'm barely, if at all, going to get into the conclusion on that project. They were good to work with. They worked very smoothly, very, methodically, and they did a nice job.
Okay.
Okay, next item is the next water mains, 2021 water mains. Kelly and I have been going over the final design with Wright Pierce. We're just about there. What I'd like to do at this point, after we've gotten some additional info, I would like to propose eliminating one street, and that was the short extension of Bonnet Drive Extension, tying it in from Highview into Pleasant Street. And I've got a few reasons for that. It's really going to give us a minimal benefit for the cost. There's only 3 homes that are tapped on that main. When we did the connection with the new main on Highview, they looked at the pipe. It's a 6-inch and it is cement lined, and they thought the pipe was in pretty good shape. With all the work that we just did, with Grassy Plain Terrace to Highview down to Lindbergh, and with an 8-inch, and then with the work we're about to do on Pleasant Street and coming in off of Fleetwood, with all of that 8-inch main replacing, we basically created a really, really good loop in that area. And if we do this little extension, it's really not gonna add to that loop at all. The work we're doing that we just did and the work we're about to do is really going to give us the benefit in that area. And then lastly, the reason I'd like to eliminate that is we found a record drawing when they put in the Pleasant Street main, and where the hydrant is on Pleasant, where this proposed main would tie in, it's pretty much solid ledge. And their intention may have been back in the day to extend that through, but due to the amount of rock that was there, I think they bailed on it, and that's why they never did that tie-in. So for all the reasons I just discussed, I don't think it's to our benefit to spend 90 to 100,000 or more with the additional rock of putting that little extension through. So I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention, and if you agree with that, then I will not have Wright Pierce put that in the design plans.
Did we already vote on that set of streets?
We didn't vote as a public. We voted as the commission. We listed the streets that we were going to approve.
Yeah.
So maybe just an amended vote to eliminate the Bonnet Drive extension would be in order.
All right, I'll make that. Did we eliminate Bonnet Drive? Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second. Marty, is that okay?
In what respect? I got to tell you, I don't remember. I don't have the file with me. Was this already approved by a town meeting?
No.
No, we didn't get there yet, so it shouldn't have any impact.
Oh, then it's not a problem.
Okay.
It's not a problem.
It's a problem for me.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna vote no, I think we should do it. It's the cement line pipe. There are, I can't think of the word right now. The clamps that go around it, that the services go off of it. We had one fail up there already last year. I'd like to see the area completed and, not have to go back in the future. And as far as the ledge, I don't know, it's a short road. We could put the pipe back in the same ditch as the pipe, I think. So I'm going to vote no on it. I think we should continue to replace that AC pipe.
All right, one thing I'd say, Rich, is I don't think because of the ledge, when they found the ledge, they didn't extend it through. So it's not a through pipe now. It's dead ended at the end of Bonnet Drive extension.
Right.
Kelly, jump in if.
Is that the one with the cul-de-sac you're talking about, or is that the different?
I'm talking about the cul-de-sac, Rich. There's only 3 homes that are tied on it, and the main doesn't go through.
Right. Yeah, it's just a dead end there.
Rich, if I may, Rich, this is the property right across from Judah at the top. We found was down from Glenwood down to right in front of Judy's house. At that
Well, that's
point,
further
it went
down.
from. Pardon me?
That's further
No,
down by
this is
Judy's house
directly.
you're talking about?
Yeah, it's directly across from Judy's. There's a hydrant in the woods there. And what they did an 8-inch T. They put it in toward, and they put 245s, dropped it down to a 6, and actually brought the hydrant back over top of the 8-inch main. I think the plan was to originally through there because they did upgrade the bonnet side. That's where we found the 6-inch with the cement line, which is telling me that's probably from the 80s, maybe the 90s. Plus it was a 6-inch valve. Everything up there was 4-inch. They increased that with the intentions of putting it through. And I think when they hit that rock, whether it was with your brother or maybe with Sweeney, they felt at that time it wasn't feasible. I think the thing to do is if you wanted to meet myself and Tom up there, we could kind of give you a little better visual on it. But there was actually a rock was, and the way they started to extend it through and run with a series of 90s because they couldn't get through that rock.
Okay, so
That's what it appears to be.
area than the other Bonnet Drive where Larry Ryan lived.
Yeah, the other side is where the old public works director, I think, lived.
Right,
I
but
don't remember his name.
we're doing that. That's an old 4-inch up there, isn't it?
Right, and that feeds 4 houses. Now, we don't have that on the list right now. 8-inch branch that we put on Highview if we ever did expand that one.
Oh,
But,
all right.
but it's the other side. The other side is the issue.
All right. Okay, we can let it go for now and we can talk about it later if you want.
Well, Tom, what's the urgency on this? I mean, should we just let Rich go up and take a look at this? And
Well, the only thing I'll throw out is Wright Pierce needs to know, is he going to include this in the next set of plans or not?
Okay.
So I didn't want to hold another month, and I didn't really want to have him spend their time including that in the plans and then us decide not to do it.
Okay.
I think the whole reason it was on the list initially, because I think the assumption was that that main went all the way through. And it made sense then, or at least a little more sense, to replace it and keep that loop closed. But with all the work we're doing, we've created the loop that's really giving us the benefit. This one's really not going to give us much benefit for the cost.
Okay, but the service up there to those homes is okay? That you're not expecting any issues up there?
No, they've been on that main now for years, anyway.
Okay, all right,
So we're not doing anything different with their service, basically.
okay. Okay, but now, theoretically, if 2 months from now we decided that we had to go ahead and do it, that could still be added at the end of the project.
Of course, we can make it an addendum, and we can basically, I don't even know that I'd have to officially go back to Wright Pierce, although we'd have to get it into the town meeting, so we're not quite there yet. If
Yeah.
it's decided between now and then to do that, I guess then we would do that.
Okay, all right.
Can you just, I know I don't have a vote here, but I'm getting pretty confused here. So the original plan that you're talking about, Tom, was to loop it around by going through Bonnet Drive Extension. But when you got up there, you found out that what was there didn't loop already and ended because of the ledge, correct?
Yeah,
And Rich, you're telling us that there's problems with the line up there, that somebody had a problem with the line and you think they should replace the line. Do you still think that's the case? Just replace the line, but don't loop it?
Right,
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
yeah.
Okay. Well, so we're voting to take this off now, basically just so we're not spending money on Wright Pierce to design it, correct?
that, and so that we can just get it finished, and then we can kind of get going with, going through the process of getting to the town meeting.
Okay, all right. Okay, so any other comments? We have a motion on the floor. And hearing none, I'll try your minds. Those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay.
Yep, one opposite. Okay, well, we'll circle back on that, Rich, and just make sure.
Yeah, I'll talk to Tom and Kelly about it. And
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Rich, we'll show you the detail we found, and then you can fill us in too on what service issues there was. It may have been only related to their service. And
no,
not
the service issue was out on High View.
Oh, okay.
I believe the pipe was all the same age, though.
Okay, but I'll tell you what, the two houses on the corner, their services come in off of Highview.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so that's why there's only 3 services. It's only the 3 services down in the cul-de-sac. The 2 that are on the corner with Highview now have new services from Highview.
Well,
Rich, not to keep it going, but the one that you're talking about, that was a rotted saddle on a 4-inch transite.
Right.
Right, the extension that we're talking about, it's 6-inch cast or ductile, so that means it was a direct tap. There are no saddles on that.
Oh, okay, all right, well, all right. I was understanding that it was still AC pipe.
No, sir, it was cement lined, but it wasn't per se asbestos lined.
Oh, okay, all right, well, all right, thank you for the clarification then.
But I would love to go over it with you, Rich, at some point if you want to go up there.
Okay, all right, okay,
Okay,
all right. It's just that if we're working in an area, I would like to try to get that one area all squared away before we hopscotch around. That's my hope for a plan.
I agree, and I think at this point, we don't need to do it, and I think we're now done in that area as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
okay, great.
Okay,
Hey, that's it, Tom, right?
one last item, real quick,
Okay.
Eureka generator, still waiting on the correct muffler to be delivered, so hopefully it's more like a 2-week item than it is a 6-week item, but I'll keep you up to date.
Okay. Okay, moving on to utility supervisory report. Kelly, what's going on?
Matt, very busy month. Since our last meeting on the 5th or the 4th, Our water usage went up by probably over 140,000 gallons a day.
Wow.
So, and it wasn't showing itself. So we brought in a leak survey company, and since then, we came up with 8 service leaks on the customer side and 2 main breaks. Let's see, we had one up on Long Meadow, 25 Long Meadow. That was the home that we always had problems with. They had a plastic line. Finally, the homeowner renewed it right from the house out to where we gave them copper. So that should never be a problem again, which was also making our pumps go on about once every, probably less than 10 seconds because of this leak. Once we caught that, the pumps, they'd go as much as 2 weeks before they would start, or excuse me, 2 minutes before they would start cycling. We had one on Oxford Street. We had a big one at Kingswood. It was a 2-inch plastic line at 100 Kingswood. We had a service leak at 122 Nashville. We had a main break at 112 Nashville. A leak was found at Idlewood, which is Plum Trees 2 up the top of the hill. Why they were out looking for leaks, they heard noises on hydrants at Clark Park. So they investigated it to find in Burndy's building, which they demoed the inside of it. One of the toilets in the bathroom was running wide open. We have no idea how long, but they could hear that all the way down on 53.
Wow.
Service leak on 16 South Street. Of course, we have the leak we talked about before at 26 Cherry Lane. We did have a main break at 112 Nashville. Again, it didn't show itself until we started drilling holes in the ground, and it saw it pop up out of the ground. And then we had one up on Spring Hill one Sunday afternoon. So it's really been busy. We've probably got our use down by, like I say, probably 140,000 gallons a day, which is phenomenal. The only blame I can put on this is the cold nights and the warm days. I think the ground is moving. They've been circle breaks. There's been leaks up toward the homes. The one leak, the big one up at Kingswood, that was a 2-inch plastic line. And that had to be running for a while because they could hear that bouncing off the foundation of the building while they were doing leak survey.
Wow.
So the leak survey that we did, and we've still got a couple more service leaks out there that they're investigating, but of course they couldn't get out there today because of the inclement weather. I'm hoping within the next couple of days, they can pretty much wrap it up and I can report back that we got a tight system. We built issues over the weekend. We had a problem at Bethel Meadows. We had a capacitor let go. We called in one of our local electricians, our in-house electricians. He was able to get that straightened out with no sort of a, so that left us in real good shape. Another major issue we have is something we talked about months ago was the MIUs. We had 1,600 MIUs fail this reading period. So we got all the guys together. They changed out 110 of these MIUs. So I've got a whole bunch of them on order. We have them. We're getting them changed. And these, once we get them all changed out, we shouldn't have another problem for another. I do have an employee that's surgery on the 8th, but we're going to make everything happen just like it was supposed to.
Yeah. Kelly, did you say you had,
Go ahead, Marty. I'm sorry.
did you say you had 1,600?
Say
1,600 MIUs?
16 MIUs that have failed.
Oh, 16.
What it is,
Oh, I thought you said 1,600.
no, I did, Marty. I did say 1,600. We had that many of them. The batteries are going bad on them.
Oh, okay.
And they've they've outlived their life expectancy. So any of them now, well, I mean, with the COVID thing, any of them that are hanging on the side of the buildings and we don't have to communicate with any people or come in contact, we're going in and we're changing them out. So we are, we're moving forward on it.
Okay.
So that's where we're at with that.
Okay,
But really right now, between the MIUs and the leaks, those have been my priorities for the past month. So that's where we're at.
okay,
If you recall, the MIU batteries were more of an issue in the wintertime. We talked about this last year, right at this time.
yeah,
So I put extra money in our capital, for capital projects, for basically the purchase of the MIUs. And then I figured we'd go out and use our labor to install them.
okay. All right, very good. Any other questions for Kelly?
Yeah, what's the status of the generator on Paul Street?
We've got two different quotes. We've got one, we're still going back and forth as they're doing the sizing. We did get a quote from Kingsley that, if I remember right, Tom, help me, what was it, 125, I think, from Kingsley, and it was 175 from H.O. Penn if it was the full 350 kW, which we don't feel we need. So we're still pretty much going back and forth with him on this.
Yeah, I'm looking at them trying to minimize the size of that unit, and so he went back with his electrician to try to resize. The one main thing he told me was the cost differential, where it starts to like break even. Basically, a 230 kW unit is only like $4,000 less than a 300 kW unit. So at that point, he doesn't think he's going to really get us much below 300 anyway. So that's what he's trying to work on. And I'm hoping that his number is, better than what it was when we gave us a 350.
Okay, and that 350 or the 250 or the 300 will run all the pumps there at one time?
Yeah, it will. We never have three on at the same time anyway. And I was talking to him a little bit, if he can look at the sizing where we can control the startup. If we ever have two pumps running, if we can do something with the controls to delay the second pump starting by a few minutes, then you won't get that same inrush current at the same time. So
Right.
he's looking at that. And I think what he really told me was we could probably do that ourselves through the VFD. You can program the VFD to be on a little bit of a delay. So
Yeah.
we're going to work with him and see what he can come up with.
Right, but just like you were looking at, if it's not that much difference between the 250 and the 300, let's go with the bigger one. That way there we have a safety margin there built in.
Exactly. That's where I'm at, Rich.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions for Kelly?
Well, just one, is that generator running or we have one standby on down there?
No, we have a standby. We have a standby from Kingsley there that will, it won't automatically switch over, but as soon as we get an alarm of no power, we can switch it right over.
Okay. And just one other thing, does that include a new transmission stuff?
No, they're trying to adapt to the same transfer switch at this time. Both companies came and looked at the transfer switch to make sure that it was adaptable, and they said yes.
What's the age of the old transfer switch?
It's probably got to be the same, Rich. It's probably from the 90s.
I think you should get a quote of the new transfer switch with the project, just to have it.
Okay.
And alter.
Okay.
My one thought with that, Rich, was if we replace this, it's a pretty big number that we didn't really budget for. And I thought we could, if it's adaptable, use the existing switch and then budget and replace the switch at a later date.
Okay, all right, well, okay. That way you can get a budget number for it then.
No, good idea. That's true.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? And hearing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn
So move.
by Rich, second by Paul. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That motion carries, and thank you very much, everyone. Have a great night.
Have a good
Take
night.
care.
All right, everyone stay well.